Welcome back to my third DIY video. Today is plastering day. We're going to put the plastering courses that are just done into use. I've got my plastering clothes on, so I look like I know what I'm doing. And we're going to do this wall today, and then maybe the one opposite around the window. Maybe. We're going to see how the other one goes first. We're going to do the opposite ones because, as you can probably imagine, when the plaster's wet and you're doing joining corners, it's very difficult to get a good finish. We learned that on the course. It's doable, but it's very difficult. And I wasn't very happy with the finish on the course. So here we go. We're going to start, this doesn't zoom out enough, by PVA gluing this wall. Then we're going to go mix up some plaster and get it on. We PVA glue the wall because it seals the wall to stop all the water going into the current plaster, and it gives the plaster we're putting on something to stick to. So we're going to do that first, and let's get to it. So we've got some glue. I'm going to put some water in because as it is out the tub, it's far too thick and far too sticky. I'm going to water it down about 2 to 1. So we've watered this down about 2 to 1. I've got my big thick PVA spreading brush, and we're going to get the walls coated, and then we're going to go and mix our plaster. So we've got about 1/3 of a bucket of water, a bag of plaster, our mixer and our trowel, and we're going to mix up. So our mix is done. You know it's done when you can make a bit of a trench in it, and more importantly, you can turn it sideways on the trowel without it falling off, but a little flick does make it fall off. So I'm going to go and take this upstairs, tip it out, clean the bucket, because otherwise your bucket will have dry plaster in, and then we're on to it. So here we go. Hopefully that's enough to cover this wall. I hope so. And as my instructor says, get it on thick, quick and even. We're going to do 2 coats. So this first coat doesn't have to be perfect. It's just an undercoat. So let's get to it. So we've just finished putting the first coat on. It's not perfect, but the base coat isn't meant to be perfect, but it's looking pretty good. The camera doesn't show it quite that well. These few lines we're going to get out shortly. This mess here is where the plug's light switch is, but I have marked it. I know where it is for afterwards. My instructor did say, he said, you're probably better off just plastering straight over it and then digging it out afterwards. So this is good. I'm going to go and clean this up, because as you can see, well, you might not know, but that's barely usable. You can keep spreading that on a wall. It's very important to get your first coat on very quickly, because that is just unusable. So we don't make the first coat perfect. It also dries much quicker on the wall, the first coat. So we get it on thick, quick and even. That's what my instructor always shouts at us. Thick, quick and even. We're going to tidy it up shortly. But first, we need to get rid of this before we make a mess of this, and then we can't use it again. So I'm going to do that now, and we'll be back in again in a minute. So, coat 1 is done. We've just gone over and tidied it up a little bit like you meant to do once it's dried out. I'm going to go mix up for coat 2, and this is the important one that we need to get right. Right. Quick chocolate bar from Nanny and Grandad. Almost finished them. Quick bit of energy. Time to get the last coat on. This is the important one. It shouldn't dry as quick though. Also made it a bit wetter. So here we go. Get this coat on, and then that wall will be finished eventually once I'm happy with it. So let's get to it. So I've just finished putting on the second coat. As you'll see, there's still lots of lines in it. But one hard thing about plastering, as our teacher taught us, was learning to walk away. Because what happens is you end up pushing around the lines that you're trying to get out. As you run your trowel over one, you leave lines at the edge of your trowel again. So right now we're going to let it settle. We're going to let it dry a little bit, maybe 15 minutes or so. We're going to clean up this mess, and then we're going to come back and we should be able to finish this wall and get it all nice and smooth with a little bit of a spray bottle if we need to, and then we're done. So it's been about 10 minutes now. We've cleaned up my mess. Now we're going to get these lines out of the wall with a wet trowel and the sprayer. One thing you won't tell from the video of this is you have to really press hard as long as your angle is correct. Angle and pressure, that's the other thing that we learned on the course all the time. But yeah, you really have to push hard. He says as long as the angle is correct, it doesn't matter how hard you push, but you do really push. So let's get this done and then we're done. And we are done. You might see it's a tad streaky, but that's just the water drying through it. But it is lovely and smooth. I'm very happy with what I've achieved. It looks good. I would pay for this, and that's what we got told to ask yourself. Would you pay for it? And it would. Looks very good. It looks much better than it did. So I just need to leave it to dry now, which, I mean, it'll be dry in a few hours, touch dry, but it'll take a few days to dry properly. When it's dry, I can come back and I can kind of polish it up a little bit if need be. I don't think it'll really need much, but if there's any bumpy bits, you can get them out once it is dry. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do another wall today. I might do the small wall today, maybe. I'm obviously not going to film all of this because you get the idea now. This is plastering, so there might be another time lapse now or two, but then we'll be back with the final product. And we are finished. This wall is the one I've just finished. As you can see, these others are slightly lighter pink in colour. These are already dry. I've just finished doing the window edges. I just need to let it dry now so I can clear up all of this mess, which is you can't do it when it's wet, but I've just done across the top where it was dry and it comes off nice and easy. Same down there. And then when it's dry, I can tidy up these corners as well where it's overlapped. Again, it just chips off really easily when it's dry. But yeah, done a good job. I'm very happy with it. I had a bit of a mess today, an accident where the bucket fell over. But I am looking forward to clearing up this room. I'm fed up of it being a mess now. The walls aren't perfect, but they're close enough to being perfect. I don't think anyone's going to notice the things wrong with them apart from me. And that's just because I've spent hours and hours and hours staring at the wall. So, to be honest, I'm really glad to be done. It wasn't that bad. I've had the radio on and whatnot, but it's pretty boring. But I'm glad I haven't paid someone to do it because it's not that difficult. Some of the things I've learned is the big plastic tub that you saw at the start that I had in the middle is completely unnecessary. We had that on the course because there was 3 or 4 of us mixing plaster, working in different spaces, so we could kind of dish it out. Whereas actually all I found was it just dried out my plaster quicker because there was more surface area. So I just worked from the bucket, and I think most plasterers do that. So that's good. If anyone's interested, I've used 5 bags of plaster, which cost me £40. And I've used all of it. It was 125 kilos of plaster that is mostly on the wall and on the floor. And there's some left over in the bags as well, because you always want to make more so you don't run out. Yeah, it's been a success. I will be back when I've tidied this room and it's dried up. It's looking like a normal room again. This camera's really zoomed in. But yeah, that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Next video will be painting and I'm not sure what else, but the end is in sight now. Now we're done making a mess, I think. Now it's time to start making it back to a room again, putting all the things back on that I ripped off. So skirting boards, radiators, plugs, window, paint, and then it should be about done. The door. So I don't know when that'll come out, but yeah. See you soon.